All all right, everybody, I'd like you to welcome to the stage, more or less, my sister, and I will call you, what would I call you? Like an angel that walks with me. We're always walking parallel timelines, and she helps to keep me grounded yet motivated. And so I'm so super stoked to have her here with us today, sharing her unique gifts and expression. Welcome, welcome.
You. Thanks, everybody.
This
Thanks
is
for
so beautiful. Yeah, this is awesome. All right, so let's go ahead and just jump into it. Can you share a bit about your personal journey and what led you to the work you're doing now?
yeah. I giggle because it's definitely been an interesting journey and it's all like intertwined. There's so much purpose behind what I do. So, a little bit about myself. I was a registered nurse for about 5 years, worked in a hospital setting, worked throughout COVID. And during that time, I was like miserable. I was so miserable. I was so lost. I was an alcoholic, using alcohol to escape and cope with the misery that I was living in. And, during that time, I felt like I had it all together on paper. I had my degree, I had a car, I was travel nursing, so I had more money in the bank than I knew what to do with. I had a house. I was in a relationship at that time. So I felt like on paper, like I have everything that I need, that I'm was told in life that you're supposed to have. And I was still miserable. I had no peace and I felt so lost. And so throughout that journey, I had a spiritual awakening and had a complete shift in beliefs and perspectives. And I started to walk a different path in life. And so, what that looked like was me leaving the nursing field. So, at the time, I started relationship coaching, and that wasn't quite right either. I also wasn't super committed and dedicated to that. And so, for the next couple years, I kind of floundered a little bit with just kind of searching for my purpose, my calling. And throughout those years, I fell into professional organizing because I asked myself, I was like, what's something that I'm naturally good at, that I do effortlessly? And that was always like a thing for me. Like Leana will tell you, I would come into her home and organize her belongings. And it's just what I do. I create space in the spaces that I'm in, trying to improve and bring benefit everywhere I go. And so I started a professional organizing company, and I noticed that when I was working with clients, there was so much attachment to their belongings, even if it meant that it was harming them, harming their relationships, their marriage, their family, their spaces. And so I realized that my calling wasn't professional organizing. It was to support people as a separation doula in going through the hard things in life, like letting go. So, letting go of attachments, letting go of limiting beliefs, letting go of trauma, letting go of anything that we're holding on to that's keeping us from stepping into the version of ourselves that we want to be in this life. And so that's pretty much my story up until where I am now.
Yeah, so I say you help us let go of the seemingly impossible.
Yeah, that's really beautiful.
Isn't it? I just love that. It's so true, like God, it feels impossible to let go of this, to get over this. I know that I need to. I just don't know how. Wow, so separation doula. So I don't know if and I think when I've looked it up before, separation doula, I hear divorce doula. Of course, you hear like death doula, birth doula, like things like that. But separation doula is a new one. So how did you come into that?
I feel like all of these questions, I just have this like little giggle inside, like, because they're just such interesting stories to me, obviously because they're mine. But so I didn't come up with that. It came to me. I was I was sitting with plant medicine, and it's always just exploring your psyche and expansion. And I was in the trip in my mind. I was in one of my clients' homes, and she really, really struggled with letting things go. And I was sitting on the floor with her in my mind, and there was an item, and it was to me insignificant, but to her very important. And I started to take that item from her, and I began to like hold it over the trash. And I could see in her this emotion rise. And it was fear, it was sadness, it was all of the emotions that we have around that are intertwined with the things that we love the most, the people, the items, the identities, the thoughts, the suffering, all that. And I could see how emotionally distraught she was. And in my mind, I sat with her and I said, let's stay here. Let's stay here with this feeling that you're having. And she broke down. And a voice came in, which sounded like my voice, like my thoughts, right? But this voice came in that didn't feel like mine. It sounded like mine, but it didn't feel like mine. The words separation doula came out. And I immediately went into this like sobbing outcry, outpour of emotions, almost like overwhelming joy. Like if you can imagine joy times a billion, that's what it feels like. Like you cannot contain this intense emotion. And you just, yeah. And it's the same experience that I had during my spiritual awakening. And it's like this knowing that I have when I experience this, because this wasn't the first time. But when I experience this, it's like I've come into alignment with my higher self. And I know this is exactly what I'm supposed to be doing, what my path is all about. And that's really just kind of like how it came about. Separation doula.
Yeah, that is so beautiful. I just love hearing that story and how the answers are always within us. We shall find. So it's always there. Okay, that's beautiful. What do you believe is the real reason so many people feel stuck, even when they're trying so hard to move forward on their journey? How do you get people unstuck? And like, what do you believe the real reason is that they feel stuck?
I can really only base that on my own experience. I mean, I could always say what I believe to be true based on witnessing someone else's experience, but firsthand perspective, witnessing my own experience, the reason that I was stuck was because I was trying to do it by myself. So, pulling back to my time as a nurse, when I mentioned my battle with alcohol and addiction, trying to come up out of that without assistance, without recognizing that I couldn't do it myself was impossible. So it looked like me going to an AA meeting and a sponsor coming up to me and going, I can help you, and me going, thank you. And in my mind, but no, I got this. And trying to do it on my own, and 38 days later, relapsing. And so I found that in life, the things that I struggle with the most, I cannot overcome by myself. So another example of that was a little bit before I got sober, I hired a professional trainer, and he helped me lose 40 pounds. But prior to that, I was trying to do it myself and it just wasn't working. After that, trying to start a small business and doing it myself, not asking for help, that failed on multiple occasions. So I've noticed that it's been the reason that I've stayed stuck is because I thought I could do it on my own. I was letting the ego run the show, and I just thought I didn't need anybody. I thought I didn't need help, and there was probably a lot of emotions tied into that, around shame and guilt, around not feeling worthy of the desire or the help. I think that's why a lot of people stay stuck, is because they don't ask for help and they try to do it themselves. So to your first question, but then how do I help people get unstuck? Well, I don't help people get unstuck. I facilitate them unsticking themselves. And so it's so interesting because there's always the question of what qualifies you for this type of work. And the answer is nothing. Nothing qualifies me to do what I do because the work isn't about me. It's about the people that I help and the capacity and the length that they're willing to go to release themselves from the burden of their own suffering. So I don't really unstick people from their stuckness. They unstick themselves ultimately.
Yeah, there's a saying that says that healers don't really do the healing, they just walk with you through the darkness. It's just like that guiding light that helps you see that you're just living in darkness, and creating that safe space. Because I think that's what it's all about. I mean, we didn't grow up with that. We weren't taught any of that. Most of us didn't have supportive systems in this way. Even if we did grow up with really wonderful parents, there's still things that they didn't know and couldn't teach. And so, yeah, I think that help is absolutely necessary. So it's beautiful for people to step up to the plate and help to facilitate that because there are so many living in the dark.
For
Uh,
a long time.
what'd you say?
But I was one of them for a long time.
Yeah, I was one for a long time too. Lord knows, I'm so thankful for all of the guides and guidance along the path because, whoo, where would I be?
Mm-hmm. Mm, probably trying to do it yourself 25, 35, 40 years later.
Oh my God, it is such a slow roll. It really is.
And that's the thing. So many people stay stuck for so long because they're unwilling to admit, like, I have a problem. I have a problem with money and finances. I have a problem with substances or food. I have a problem with relationships. And like, I don't know. I can't figure it out. And it's like this humility. It's this humility, and awareness, you know?
Absolutely. I mean, the ego can't go with us where we're going. If it's the one who is lacking, we have to shift into another identity in order to become who we want to be. If we want to be that prosperous person, if we want to be that healthy person, standing in the knowing of who we are, the ego can't come, right? Donnell cannot come into this into this next phase. And this actually segues perfectly into the next question. What do you think keeps most people disconnected from their true identity?
Mm, all the layers, all the frigging layers of lies and beliefs that were put onto us that we adopted from our parents, our environment, our peers, ourselves. So all of these layers just piled on top of our being. And yeah, it's in peeling back those layers that you get closer and closer to actually knowing who you are, because it's like you're already this being, right? Like you're already this perfect, whole, complete, loved beam of light, and it just gets compiled with just the yuckiness and the darkness, and not even that dark is bad. That's not to say that darkness is bad, but it also dims our light as well. And so yeah, just all of the influx of the world that we hold on to and then call ourselves, and then we call it ourselves. I would probably say that as the thing that keeps us from knowing our true selves.
Yeah.
For What about you? What would you say?
I would say the same. When we come in, we're not really given our true identity. Our identity is formed through our experiences and what people tell us about ourselves, and then what we take in and believe is truth. So, like you said, it's all the layers, all of these beliefs, all of these experiences that have added up over time that we're just believing is true that have to be released. And that really the only way to do that is to ask, what is my true identity? Who am I really underneath all of this false? And we believe it's true because it's so believable. It's so believable to believe that I am this person and I have all of these faults and had all these mistakes and that I am limited and that I am lacking. And so then we oftentimes don't question it until the ish has hit the fan, right? I know for me, it was like my second divorce, and I'm like, oh my God, why does this keep happening? Like, why, I am the center of all of my failed relationships, which the failure was so helpful, right? Like the dark isn't bad. The failure was helpful to help me see where I'm living. And it's like, why is this happening? And it's just that questioning alone, like, what is going on here? Not like, oh, this must have failed, so let me go try again with someone else while I'm still not healed, and just maybe it'll be better next time. It's like, no, no, like let's step back and see the patterns, because there are patterns, and there are always patterns. So, yes, it's quite the journey, and not for the faint of heart, which I think is why people get stuck. And I think that's why we try to medicate with alcohol, or like sex addictions, drugs, even working out, like overly working out because we believe we're not good enough, like beating our body into the ground because we're not good enough, or like striving, always striving, chasing, because at our core, we feel empty and lacking and undeserving. There's just so much that's wrapped up into the identity and who we're showing up as. So, what would you say? What role has healing or self-awareness played in aligning you with your purpose? Finding this true identity and being allowing you to align with what you're here to do.
I mean, I think that it's the core foundation of why I'm here now. And it's so interesting that we're talking about this because I just made a video about this, about how when we ask to know our purpose, when we ask to come into our calling, we have to be willing to release the parts of ourselves that aren't in alignment with that. And so I couldn't come into this work as an alcoholic, because in order for me to hold space for others, there has to be space within myself. I can only support to the capacity with which I have support in me. And so it's had everything to do with my work. It is my work. The more that I heal, the better I can show up for whoever needs me to hold space with them. And so, yeah, it's just been like so pivotal for sure. The shadow work, that's been probably like the heaviest and like the most valuable, because when we are walking around with these shadows, these parts of our psyche that we're unconscious to, but that play a major role in how we show up in the world, and we've got all these triggers coming in, and all these triggers are leading to these intense emotions, and now we're blaming the trigger, the person who caused the trigger, we're blaming them for why we feel bad, and there's no accountability. And so, yeah, definitely shadow work has been like super pivotal for me, that and releasing my alcohol addiction, because I was drinking to avoid feeling. I was drinking to avoid my emotions. I couldn't have come into the person that I am today with that. Like I had to release that part of me. Lots of parts of me, and I'm still releasing. Like I'm still becoming. It's a practice. It's not like a you do it one time and you're good to go and you're set. Like every day something comes in and it triggers you or it sets you off or it causes an emotional reaction. And it's really like this dance that you have with yourself. And because I'm always dancing with myself, I'm able to dance in this work. And so, yeah.
Yeah, because that's the layers, right? That's the layers that we're getting triggered because there are layers to our healing. There are so many attachment and ways we have identified with the false and all of these, misbeliefs. And so that's constantly getting peeled back, peeled back, peeled back, and it's a purification process. So you're right, it's not just like this one and done because all of this stuff wasn't built up like in one night, like it was built up over time, over time, over time. So then you have to deconstruct it over time, over time, over time. That's so beautiful. One of the tools that I really love using is asking the Holy Spirit to come in and help me lift off these things. Because if you have the Holy Spirit, like the Holy Spirit knows all, sees all, and isn't bound by these laws that we give ourselves, these laws of time. So with the Holy Spirit helping us to see these things that are coming up and helping us to see through the eyes of truth, that actually collapses time. I hear people say, and you were saying before, where would you be? Where would I be without all of the guides on this journey? And you're like, probably 30, 40 years later, still doing the same thing. And it's so true. And I even had a client the other day who's been dealing with this for a long time and went to therapy most of her life, and it just hasn't worked. And I'm like, who are you seeing things with, That's the biggest thing. Who are you seeing things with? Because if you give it over and we don't compartmentalize the things that are coming up, then that opens the door for the miracles to come in so that we can start to dissolve things rapidly, collapsing time and without expectation. Like, oh, I've seen this with Holy Spirit, so it's completely done. No, it just is easier than trying to do it without it. Like, and it speeds up time. How much time it takes? I think that's still dependent on how much we want the story, how much we're willing to let go of it. So, speaking of that and holding on to stories, have you ever felt stuck in survival mode or disconnected from abundance? And then how did you move through it?
Stuck in survival mode has pretty much been my baseline for a really long time, probably since middle school. I've been in survival mode until about maybe 2 or 3 years ago. I don't necessarily think that survival mode and abundance have to be connected. I think that you can be in a state of abundantly having resources and money and support and still feel like you're in survival mode. Because that was my case. I was in survival mode and I was a travel nurse making six figures. Still, I've had all of the support in the world from my family, my parents, my sister, God. Like there's all this support, all these resources, all of this abundance that I'm surrounded with, and I was still in survival mode because I think survival mode is more about a dysregulated nervous system than anything. And so, how I got out of that was rest, for sure. Coming into a place of rest and letting go, recognizing that I'm not the doer. And I think surrendering to the trust of the universe or God or, whatever you want to call it, and developing a relationship with my inner world. Because, and I'm always going to talk about this, about creating space. Once there was more space inside, I could relax. When I was full of guilt and shame and my pipeline was just so clogged, there was no room for rest. There was no room for anything. It wasn't until I got to clear all of that up. And I say like I did it. First, I had to surrender to the idea that there was a power greater than me that could solve my problem. And that happened all through AA. And then from there, everything that I needed has just come to me. And so I think that I'm still every day practicing abundance and an abundant mentality. It just goes back to what we were just talking about it's a practice. It's not like a You recognize one day I am abundant. and and you never have another lack thought. It's just this awareness and this consciousness that you're coming into, and this practice of reprogramming your subconscious mind to believe what your conscious mind knows to be true. Thought pattern retraining, subconscious work, meditation. I mean, I could always give you all the tools that I used and still use to this day. But really, the biggest thing has been asking source for help, just asking. And even if you don't know how to, just saying out loud, I need help is enough.
What has come through this asking and doing this work? So we've talked about the pain points and like all of, the suffering that came until you figured it out and had your spiritual awakening and are implementing the tools. So now what's on the other side? What's the heaven from the hell that you experienced before?
God, I'm probably going to start crying. But my personal trainer asked me this. I call him my coach. He asked me this the other day, and I told him, I was like, I've made it. Like, I've made it in life. I have everything that I need. I have all of the love, all of the grace, all of the support, all of the peace. And his question was, so what do you do now? And my answer was, I help others. And that's pretty much it. I mean, I've attained what I need to in this life. I mean, don't get me wrong, like I still have my lessons and my triggers and things to work through, but for the most part, like I'm there. Like the life that I live and how I experience this life is something that you cannot buy. And because I have been so deeply blessed to experience life in this way, my way of giving back is to help others to reach this level of peace inside.
Mm. Such a gift. It's so beautiful. It's just, when we choose to come out of the darkness and step into our light, that light shines for everyone. And then their light gets activated, and then that shines for everyone. And I genuinely believe this is how we heal the world. Like we heal the world by healing ourselves and showing up as that person as much as we can. And every now moment doing our absolute best. Obviously, it's not always perfect and we still err, but we give ourselves grace and we hold space for ourselves, like you were saying before, holding that space so that we can see that others are just as innocent. We mess up, we make a mistake, but it doesn't take away from the fact that we are innocent, holy children. And then from that place, we're allowed to hold that same space for others. And it helps them stand in their light to let them know, no, you're not guilty. Like, have you made mistakes because you didn't know who you were? Yeah, but that doesn't make you guilty. It just means you made a mistake and that can be forgiven. And then the light shines. Oh, it's so beautiful. Oh my gosh, man. I hope that y'all can feel this through this camera, like all of this peace and this sacred rest that's coming through all of this. And I mean, you can see why I brought her on this video, why I'm gonna have her in my masterclass, because oh my God, like it's just so beautiful. And if That's right, guys. We're hosting a masterclass, and I really like to call it a party because I'm all about having fun, like let's have fun getting through this stuff, unearthing this stuff, releasing it so that we can step in to 2025 and thrive and enjoy it, like who do you want to be? Who do you want to be this year, in the next year to come? Are you ready to take the next step to really rise into this new version that you're becoming, but maybe you just have some blocks that haven't allowed you to really move with the clarity and the trust that you would like to have. Well, this masterclass is designed to do exactly that. Our goal, and we have walked this walk already. We've had to both leave the nursing career and figure out what it is we're called to do on a bigger scale. And so now we've had to walk that walk, and we're here to help you walk that walk as well. So if you want to be immersed in a community of people who are like-minded and on that same path to help amplify, the energy that's coming through, the desires that you're seeing, and also releasing blocks at the same time, we're going to collapse time for you to help you shift into this new version. And if you're ready to take that next step, sign up for this free masterclass. It's totally free. Right? There's nothing to lose. Hit the link below. We'd love to see you. May 29th. And Amanda will be there with us, helping to let go of the seemingly impossible. Let's go. You can feel this in this capacity, just wait. Just wait. It's so amazing. So, what would you say is one belief you had to release in order to truly step into your power?
The first one that comes up is I'm not enough. Probably, and then I'm scrolling through my conscious mind. I think that probably would be it, was that I'm not enough. I've just had lots of experiences from the vantage point of I am not enough. Being in abusive, emotionally, physically relationship, that was really, I think, that it got loud enough for me. It wasn't the alcohol. It wasn't all of the other things. I think it was that relationship that really helped me to take a look at myself and my self-worth, and allowed me to really see what I thought I was worthy of. And in coming through that trauma bonded experience, I was able to really care for myself. I mean, I probably took like a good month of time, went down to Leana's house in Florida, took like a month, and really just focused every day on repairing my relationship with my self-worth. Because like Leana was saying, your self-worth is inherent. It's given to you by God. There's not anything that you can do in this lifetime that would ever change how worthy you are. And it goes back to, I feel like it circles back around to peeling back those layers of the things that you've placed on yourself that have dimmed the light of your worth.
Yeah, that unworthiness is so deeply rooted. And I think in a majority of people, it's why we chase or why we believe we're not good enough to have. So yeah, getting that, like forgiving that. I mean, me too.
Yeah, coming out of that self-sabotage, not chasing the things that we're supposed to, like not going after those things because we don't feel worthy, sabotaging all of the good for ourselves in our life. That's a big one. That's a deep one, a collective one for sure.
Yes, Lord. And every time, that's what I love about A Course in Miracles. It says every time we choose to heal it, it heals it for everyone because we're all one. So if you're here and you're ready to do this deep diving work, thank you. Like, really, thank you, because we can't do it without you. We are the light of the world. And in order for the world to heal, we have to heal ourselves. It's just such a beautiful opportunity and a gift. And I'm thankful to be here in this time. And there's so much momentum in the unseen for 2025 that's really helping to catapult us into that next timeline so that we can finally let go of everything that has been holding us back so that we can really step into the fullness of our being in full trust and clarity. It's such a beautiful time. So with that being said, what does soul-driven momentum look like in your daily life?
Soul-driven moments. I would say always infusing into whatever I do being of service. So none of what I do being for me, but for maybe the past version of me that needed it, or the other versions of me that are you and everyone watching this video, what you need, what's going to resonate with you, what's going to be most helpful for you. I mean, everything I do is soul driven, and it's like you pick up momentum with that. It's like, wow, I just came across something that I think is going to be super helpful for people. It's like the snowball effect, and it just gets bigger and bigger, and you're just like rolling with the punches, and you're allowing the universe to guide you in the direction of your highest good and the highest good for all.
Yeah, man, it's so important. It's so important because, I think for a long time, the reason I had momentum for things was out of lack. It wasn't like, because I didn't have a spiritual awareness years ago, it's like I'm in survival mode, man. I need to take care of my kids, so I'm doing things that I think will offer that. Then you get there, you've completed it, and it's like, damn, this ain't it either. Oh my gosh, like we're constantly chasing and we get what we've been chasing, and it's like now we're still chasing because it wasn't actually what we needed. And it probably, I mean, I would say that even going into nursing was needed at the time, and I gained so much from that, and I'm so grateful for it. But then you realize, like, I can't keep doing this. Like, obviously me living for myself or living to survive, living for whatever the mind is telling me I need at the time is not it. Like it's not getting me where I need to go. So what do I need to do? Like what is this for? What is my purpose here? And man, from that place, oh my gosh, like from that place, it's a wrap because we have the strength of God behind us because we know who we're doing it for. And we have that help. Like Dr. Joseph Murphy says this one affirmation, and it talks about how God is his senior partner, like his senior partner in his business. And I would say senior partner in life, like I know that whatever I do with you behind me is going to be fruitful. It's going to bear fruit, and I'm going to have enough energy to do it. Not that everything is easy, but I'm going to have enough energy to do it. And I know when I get there, it's going to be fruitful for everyone. Yeah, it's so huge. I just love that. What practices or tools help you stay aligned with life when it gets overwhelming? And the mind is like, oh, you've got to do all these things. What helps bring you back?
I would for sure say breath. Breath has been one of the most supportive tools I've been able to use, becoming aware of the breath, noticing the breath. It always brings you back into your body and out of that overthinking logical mind, which is where your being resides. It's not in like the brain and all the calculations, right? Like your ego's up there, but your being is in your body. It's the part of you that can sense things before the logical mind catches up with that. And so coming back to my breath, becoming aware of my breath, the quality of my breath, um, taking deep breaths, box breathing, just coming back into the breath for sure, putting my feet on the ground, getting outside in nature, doing something that I enjoy. But sitting in the mess, sitting in the suck, sitting in the worry has never helped anyone and will never help. So thinking that you can think your way out of your problem, or thinking that you can think your way out of your stress or your trauma, you're not going to get very far. So let me just stop you before you even start.
Oh, that's so true. And so what would you say? Okay, well, so one thing that came in was also doing fire breaths, like when I have been down in the muck in the mire, and it's kind of like feeling depressed, fire breaths have helped me come up and feel alive again and feel expansive and like, yes, I can take on this day. I'm not, a victim of whatever my emotions are at that time. I can't think my way out of it. So what is the difference between trying to think your way out of it and doing the shadow work when the emotions come up?
Well, I think the thing that I've noticed is when it comes to thinking your way out of emotions, so many people make the mistake of invalidating their experience. And so they say, oh, well, it's not really logical that you feel this way. Like you have everything you need. Like, why would you feel ungrateful? Like you're being too much, right? And this is how we talk to ourselves. That's really what comes to mind when you say thinking yourself out of an emotion is you don't deserve to feel this way. How you feel is not valid. How you feel is not logical is, I think, a very common for people versus doing the shadow work. So the shadow work is about validating your experience. So it's the exact opposite of mentally what we do as a culture and probably as like a race, a human race. So shadow work is going to be about validating what's coming up for yourself. Because anytime you try to shame yourself out of how you're feeling or the emotions that you're having, you're further ingraining the shadow into your psyche. And so I made a video on this the other day. It's almost like you're a little child inside of your being. And what would you do if you saw a child on the floor, you know, just like laid out, uncontrollably sobbing, right? Like you wouldn't just leave it there. You wouldn't say that's illogical to be acting like that. You know, I mean, I'm sure some people would. I'm sure that's probably why we need healing. But most people who embody empathy would pick the child up, would console it, would help to regulate it, regulate its emotions, just support it and comfort it. And so that's essentially what you're doing with shadow work is you're comforting your being, you're comforting a part of yourself inside that feels so lost and so broken and so unaccepted by you and those around you. And so it's a different experience than logically trying to think your way out of it. Shadow work is more feeling your way into what wants your attention.
Yes, queen.
Yeah.
Oh, so beautiful. I just love it. I just love the work. And and it's funny, I've seen people on your channel say things like sitting in my stuff. That doesn't sound fun, but in truth, like it's the most loving thing you could ever do. Not running from it, not trying to push it away. Like you can try, but it's just going to keep coming up because it's just coming up to be seen. So doing this work is really important and necessary. Like it is absolutely required. And in truth, we really have a moral obligation to do this work for the rest of the world, because if we're expecting the rest of the world to change and we're not willing to change, I mean, it's just like insanity expecting something different to come when we're still doing the same things over and over again. Okay, the next one. How do you handle the tension, right? This pull between taking inspired action and resting in divine timing? Because we're always getting these downloads, right? Of like, oh my God, you have this. And in the back of your mind, you're like, I need to do this. But understanding the divine timing of all things, how do you handle that?
I become aware of who's running the show. If it's inspired action, it isn't really me. Um, I'm just following the guidance of my being, my higher self, whatever you want to call it. So once I start to notice that I've stepped into this doer role, this doership, and it's a feeling, like it's a visceral, like I can feel when I'm in flow versus when I'm trying to force it. And once I've stepped into that forcing and I've become aware that I'm in that place, that's when I recognize that it's time to rest, that it's time to do something else, to realign with what I know to be true, but to step away from what I'm doing. So I think it's just this awareness of who's running the show that I can feel.
Yeah, it's so true. I think even once we take this leap into the spiritual journey and even, following our divine guidance, still ego can come back in to try to bring us back onto its path, because we've been doing that for so long. We've been going this ego road for so long and doing and striving and chasing that it's so easy for it to creep back in even when we're doing God's work. So really knowing who's running the show is huge.
Yeah, and recognizing too when you're starting to feel burnout, because I think too I can get in these hyper focused modes where it's a very thin line between inspired action and completion syndrome. I just have to finish this for the sake of finishing it, not because I feel like really inspired right now. So yeah.
That's a big one. That's a big one for like anyone, you know, and when something is living in the back of your mind, it's like, okay, I just want to get this over with, but who's saying that? You know, like if we're not at peace, who is it that's saying that? You know, God, it's so easy. It's such an easy one to like, like, yeah, it's like, oh, that wasn't me.
Yeah.
My bad. Okay, so for someone feeling lost or stuck right now, what's one simple shift they can make today?
For someone feeling lost or stuck, what's one simple shift? I think, and probably you would say this too, is to ask who's stuck.
Yeah, for sure. Who's stuck? Who's not aware that everything is working out for the highest good of all? I'm always in my divine right place at the divine right time, right? One thing, okay, so you've done the healing work. You know that you have a gift to bring to the world, but something is still blocking you from doing that, right? And that was really me for 2 years, like hiding for 2 years. I didn't post any content because I was like, I don't know who I am, I'm running this show. And eventually I was like, how long am I going to stay here? You know, how long is it going to be like this? Because I have all these downloads of things I need to do. I said to God one day, I was like, Lord, because I think I was telling you this. And I was like, Lord, show me my divine right coach. Show me who that is. And then all of a sudden, I found her on a Facebook ad of all places, and her message just resonated with me so deeply. I'm like, yes, like she's all talking about God, you know, and bringing God into this. And she's a multimillionaire. She used to be a pastor. Like, oh my God, yes. And even attending her masterclass was the biggest jump for me, biggest leap. And I had all of this momentum and all of this energy because she helped me see that I am not the thoughts that say I'm not ready. I'm not the thoughts that say, well, people may not want what I have to offer. And I'm not the thoughts that say that I can't use my own personal experience because I was trying to address everyone instead of having a defined niche or audience. So I know for me, that was a game changer. But I think understanding that when we're beating ourselves up about being stuck, it is important to say, who is that?
Yeah, that, and I think that's a powerful question to ask in any circumstance, whether you're stuck or whatever the case may be, is who's stuck, and to really contemplate it, because your first thought is always going to be me. Who are you? What do you mean? Who's stuck? Me, obviously. But also, I think noticing the stuck that you're in and sitting in it, and just sitting in it and not needing anything to change, and just recognize how it feels to be in that suck. So you're in this stuck place, and you've now noticed you're stuck, because I think a lot of times we're unconscious to our stuckness. But once you've gotten to a place where you're like, okay, shit, I am stuck. Like, okay, I'm stuck right now. I see that now because I didn't always see my stuck. And so once you see that you're stuck, sit with that and just close your eyes and tell yourself, like, I'm stuck. And how does that feel in your being? You know, what emotions arise when you are really sitting in this awareness that you're focusing your consciousness on? Um, and just being with that stuckness, not needing for it to change, not trying to push it away, not trying to drink it away, not trying to escape it, but you're just sitting in it. You're just sitting there. You're fucking stuck and it sucks. And here I am, and I'm going to be with myself during this stuckness. I'm not going to continue to abandon myself. I think that's the biggest thing, is we want to escape the emotion so much that we're willing to abandon, right? Like, remember that little kid on the floor crying? we're willing to completely walk away from it and shut the door on it and let it figure it out for itself, we're abandoning ourselves in these emotions, and that's really why they come up. Like, that's why our situations come up, that's why these shadows come up, these patterns arise, is because our being is seeking our attention. And instead of trying to always fix something, it's okay to just be in it and not need anything to be different. And it doesn't necessarily mean that things won't be different in a little while, or that you don't take inspired action in a little while, but being with yourself is action. It's a deeply healing action. It's probably the most important action you could ever take. And so just sitting in the suck for a little while, that's okay too.
Mm, that's so beautiful. It's absolutely necessary because I mean, really, there's so much to figure out on this path anyway. I remember waking up one day, getting a download, and it's saying, you think that you're not loved by God. And um and prior to that, I had been doing all the things, like posting all the content and all of that. And I was like, man, if there's somewhere living within that says, I don't believe I'm loved by God, who has been running this show the whole time? Yeah. And so allowing that to dissolve, which I think is why like I took so long of a hiatus, was to be like, who is this really that's showing up and doing all the things?
We
Oh,
think,
that spiritual ego.
and that's the thing, is like we think we know who we are, we think we know who's running the show. We're the ones that are driving the car and going to work and taking care of the kids, and I'm conscious, I know exactly what I'm doing, I have this, I got this, I got it all figured out. And we don't. We don't know who's running the show. Our subconscious mind, which is the mind that controls our behaviors, our thoughts, our feelings, this subconscious mind that we cannot see runs the show. And just because we have this conscious mind, we think that we have all the answers and that we know it all, and we're so out of touch.
Mm-hmm. Nook and Corrine with the Course of Miracles, they call it the I know mind. I think I know everything. How far has that gotten you? Like, how happy are we? I feel like the further along I get on this journey, the more I realize I don't know anything, like what anything is for. And how can we really know if we can't see the overall plan? How can we really know what anything is for?
How can we know what anything is for? And we ain't even got our own lives together. You know what I mean? Like, and that's the thing, is when you're in the box, or when you're in the jar, you can't read the label from the inside of the jar. Just like when you're in the box, you can't see clearly, which is why you can tell everybody else about their life, everybody else's problems, what they should do, all the answers. But when it comes to yourself, you're too close to the problem to be able to see the solution. And so it takes others, it takes a community, it takes help, it takes a different perspective and a vantage point if there's something that you're struggling with that you can't get a hold on yourself.
Amen. It takes somebody else reading that label.
Yeah. That part. Like, I can actually read this clearly. Would you like me to read it to you?
I know, right? Oh my
Yeah,
gosh.
see it from here.
Right? Oh my gosh. And it's so triggering to the ego, for people to read your shit. But it's like, we need that. Like, we need that. We're here to heal together. So let people help you. One of the things I realized about school is school makes you do everything by yourself, right? You have to, except for group projects, but you have to take tests by yourself. You have to do homework by yourself. All of this stuff, you have to succeed by yourself, seemingly, right? That's what they tell us. So when it comes to coming out into this world, accepting help is really hard because we're like, no, I got to do this on my own. I have to figure this out. I have to figure everything out. And then we carry burdens, and there's so much suffering. Yeah, such a huge realization.
That's such a great point to point that out about our institutions and pretty much how we've been conditioned and culturally and society.
Yeah, it's a whole conditioning, which is why we really got to step back and just really look and ask. because you can't see what you have been born into because nobody else is seeing it. Not on a massive scale, certainly not usually on social media, unless your feed has been tuned to like show you truth, you know, like to show you the stuff that will actually set you free. It's showing you everything that'll keep you stuck.
Unless you're following us also. I'm at Separation Doula across all social platforms.
I'm at Leana_Hayes 1 for, see, I need to get this all together really, because it's at Leana_Hayes 1 for Instagram, at Leana_Hayes 333 for TikTok. Hashtag branding issues, it's fine. Okay. So we've got 2 more questions. Why do you think this upcoming masterclass is so timely and important?
It's so timely, like it's right on time because I think that we are coming into an age where we're taking our attention off of the physical and onto the self. It's becoming more and more unbearable in society, in this world, in the dating pool, in within careers. There's just the suffering is ramping up. And I think as a catalyst to pull us back in the way that we came in. And I heard that the other day and I thought that was so freaking beautiful. I can't remember where I heard it from, but it was like the answer to how we come back to ourselves is the same way that we came in, right? If our consciousness dropped down into our body, then the only way back up is through the body, through the consciousness, right? And so, yeah, just timely for the state of the world. And then the second part of that was necessity.
Why do you think it's timely and important?
And important because we carry us with us everywhere we go. So we can keep changing. You can continue to change your playground and your playmates, but you carry you with you everywhere you go. And so if the only thing that changes is your geographical location, your career, your friend group, your community, and you never change, then you're really just running from location to location, group to group, running from yourself. Because you carry with you because you carry you with you everywhere you go. Say that 5 times fast. Every relationship within your parenting, child parent relationships, your relationship with money, you are the most important piece to the puzzle. And if you aren't prioritizing that, then it's rippling over into every aspect of your life. Peace is just so freaking important. Not happiness, not joy, not elation, not anything on the spectrum outside of peace. Just being okay, perfectly okay with who you are and where you are, and truly being okay with it. And Leanna, I'd really like for you to share your story with your client yesterday. You didn't share that earlier, right? About the therapy client?
Yeah, I was kind of mentioning that. But do you want me to just share what I posted?
Yeah, just yeah. It's about how she was like, well, I'm good. I'm at peace.
Yeah, so she, like, I was getting downloads even days before I like had her, because I knew that she was coming in, and Holy Spirit was like, you guys need to have a conversation about you not seeing her on the weekend, because you need to see her during the week, because she needs to start making her self-care a priority during the week. And I'm like, okay, we'll see how that goes. But I went in and she actually was like, you're probably right. During the session, because I was doing a massage session, during the session, I received downloads of, hey, offer her your coaching program. And I was like, okay, cool. And so she comes out to pay, and I'm like, would you like more support along your journey? And she says, you know what? I have been going to see a counselor or a therapist, for most of my life. And I've tried everything and nothing works. I know that massages help me and that getting my fingernails done help me. When I look at my fingernails, they're pretty, it just helps me feel better. And let me see if you can understand this. I have hated my body my whole life. I have hated myself. And I'm just to the point where I'm like, this is me. And I'm just okay with that. And now I just want everybody to leave me the F alone. And I was like, there really is so much peace in being able to just accept, like this is what is showing up. And she says, well, not always. And I'm like, because there's like there's one who's accepting it, and then there's another. So if you are accepting it and you're totally at peace with what is showing up because you know it's not the truth of your identity, that's actual real peace. But if you are accepting it through the point of the ego, which is really just a spiritual bypass to allow the ego to keep doing what it's doing, oh my God, how sinister in nature. Like the ego is so like we just don't realize is the tactics that it uses to keep us stuck. And so yeah, and it was really just like this is where you are. I'm so grateful for the awareness um of your coachability level. And I didn't say any of this. It was like, cool, and it's just like, okay, that's where you are. God bless you. And I didn't get bent out of shape with what she was saying. I'm like, cool, I'm not going to fight you on it. I feel like she'll be back.
Definitely keep us posted.
I'll keep you posted. But yeah, that was a very interesting encounter.
Yeah, I think it really goes to show that like people are like, well, this is just how I am, and I'm at peace with that. I've made peace with that. And I think there's kind of like a couple different layers. I think there is making peace with who you are, but there is also like having peace on this journey. And I don't think that that is, I think that especially through personal testimony, that we can have peace constantly, and we can be in a constant state of peace always, no matter what's happening, no matter what's coming in at us, no matter what we're going through. Peace is, it's like a non-negotiable. It just is like, it can be there. But if you don't have that constant state of peace, or at least more than less, right? Having more than you have less of it, then there's room for someone to come in and to help you, because going through the roller coaster of being affected by all the stimulus that comes in at us in this like highly stimulated, overreactive world we have, not having that stabilization inside, that foundation, that concrete rock that you stand on amidst everything coming at you, to not have that, I mean, I would spend my entire life looking for that if I didn't already have that.
Oh my gosh. Right. Same. Like same. And like I had another client tell me she was a Reiki client, and I've been seeing her for probably 2 or 3 years, and she's made progress. Here's the issue though. So she's like, I'll go about a month of allowing everything to be off. And then the pain gets so bad that I have to go see a chiropractor so that the Reiki will work better. If we are allowing the ego to just be like, I'm going to keep you in pain for a month and then you go do something about it, no wonder we're not actually healing. We really do have to have every day, every moment where we're really looking at our thoughts and our emotions and where we're coming from and where we're acting from in order to shift our timeline. We cannot just like one day, I'm going to settle into peace and it's going to help me for a little bit. And then I'm going to go a month of suffering and then I'm going to come back. No wonder people are like, for 20, 30, 40 years of I've been dealing with this and no change has been made. Yes, because you haven't been willing to change, because changing comes over time of making different decisions, of being very aware of where your thoughts are and choosing again. Because for me, it is an everyday thing. And I'm so thankful for A Course in Miracles because there's 365 lessons that help keep you on track. Like every day, all throughout the day, they're like set 15-minute timers. Can you imagine y'all doing that work? Like every 15 minutes, you're being shown to rewire your thoughts.
That's what it takes.
It does. It literally does. If we're not seeing results, it's because we're allowing the ego to run the show and stay in those old patterns. And we can collapse time by choosing to take back dominion of our mind, which we're supposed to do. It's our kingdom, it's our realm, and we have dominion over it. Here's our last question. If someone joins the Magnetic Momentum Masterclass, what would you say is the energetic shift they'll walk away with?
Clarity. Yeah, clarity of what their current experience, situation is, state of being, clarity on how to move forward, clarity of tools, just so much clarity.
Or I would say that's like, even after the 2 years, I would say that was like really the biggest thing for me, because the mind, like, it tells you that you can't use your own experience, that you're not good enough, all of this stuff. And what I realized is like, ain't nobody got time to be out here being like someone else. Jesus did not come in trying to be like Moses, and Mary didn't come in trying to be like Sarah. Like they had their own mission. They had their own life experience, and they did what they came to do based on their own mission. And you have that same mission too. We all do. And it is super important for you to lead that mission from your own vantage point, because you know what? Your sheep know your voice. Like if you think of yourself as like a shepherd herder, right? Your sheep know the sound of your voice, but you've got to use your voice and all your gifts to help your sheep find you. And now is the time, now more than ever, when we have all of this momentum behind us in this year of shedding, we need people who are leading people out of the dark. All of this masculine energy is tumbling, right? That's why we're seeing this collapse of systems and all of this stuff coming to the forefront when it was kind of behind closed doors before. It's all coming up, and we need people who are saying, it's okay, it's safe, walk this way. So yes, I love that. I think having clarity is a game changer. Like, because from that, when you know the what, the how just comes in. Like it's a no-brainer. I've got the what. Oh, well, that's the what. Okay, cool. Let's start walking along that path, and the how comes with you on the walk. Easy. Love it. All right. Well, yes, my dear, thank you so much for joining. This has been, I'm sorry, I can't hear you. Let me see. Did I do?
For having me.
Oh, yes. Yeah, you're so welcome. Definitely look forward to hosting this masterclass. And man, if y'all are feeling all of this energy, like just imagine what this is going to be like in the masterclass. Oh my, like,
Good time.
oh, it's going to be a real good time. All right, beautiful. Well, yes, thank you. I hope you have a lovely day.
So much.
Um,
And thank you for having me.
oh yeah, you're so welcome. Anytime, anytime. All right. Well, signing off, party people. Bye.
Bye. See you at the masterclass.